Well, what's this, you ask? Why are you back? You said you were through with your track laying. Well, never say never. Found a problem, and it's thanks to some people who commented on my last installment of these videos. The problem was, they said, well, you know, when that little car was going through that tunnel, it seemed really tight. Is your train going to clear that? And I went, oh, no problem. Train will clear it fine because I tested it with rolling stock, and I did. I took some of the big dining cars that I had and I pushed them through there and they went through fine. Well, then I went and I tested my new old EMDF engine here, and it has these little plastic pieces on the side that are replicating the spring set in the trucks right here, and those kept hanging up. What would happen is the train, it ran fine on the rest of the layout. It would come around here and then poof, and just stop. And if it came around here, it would stop going into the tunnel. It just didn't have, it was like 1/8 of an inch too little. So what I did is I simply squeezed the track together all the way through here. It's plenty of clearance now. It goes through no problem. I also did my little hacksaw job and put a new piece of 36-inch track here, cut it, and that expanded it and allowed me to get rid of this trestle area over here that was going over nothing. So it's clinging much more tightly to the composite wood now, which is good. And it goes fine through here. However, this ties back to something I talked about long ago in one of the early videos that I discovered. This thing, the molding, sticks out about 1/2 inch. And no matter how much I try to pull this back, it doesn't do any good. If I pull it back too much, then the train collides on this side. If this wasn't here, it wouldn't be an issue. But because that's sticking out 1/2 inch and the curve is so tight here, when it comes around, boom, the train just collides with this. Now, the solution would be to put a longer stretch of straight track on here and it would go right past. It wouldn't have a trouble. But when I tried, the tightest radius I can get on here, if I pull that out, is a 36, and the 36 comes right out over the nothing. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, which is going to be a bit of work, but I think it'll solve the problem in the long haul. I have a little bit, no, I don't have any. No, that's another thing I got to think about here. I don't have any more space on here. I'll have to get new copper support pieces. But what I was going to do is, if you look down here, we got the brackets with 2 screws each, so 6 screws. Take those screws out, this whole thing will slide this way, and I can put another inch out. And with 1 inch out, that'll give me plenty of clearance all the way around. And what I'm going to have to do is rejigger the track setup all around here, which may be a problem, but I think that might be a solution. I don't know any other solution besides getting past here. The only other thing would be to rip all this out and pull it back this way more so that I could clear that area. So I've got some thinking to do here on how I'm going to make this work before I can get the trains running. So here's where we're at. I finally got the EMDF engine to go by without a problem. So that will work fine. The problem is, as you can see here, I'm way off of the original structure. So I had a couple of options. Our daughter's father-in-law had suggested, who's a big rail enthusiast, had suggested cutting this out and then building out like a mountain structure here, and that way it would take care of that and I wouldn't have to worry about it. I didn't want to ruin the integrity of this though and let water inside possibly, so I'm seeing if I could do it this way. And what it looks like I'm going to have to do is pull all of this out and rebuild it this way more. And that will work perfectly. So this right here is okay. So it's just from here, I'm going to have to come out this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to restake all of these in their new positions, so I know where the posts have to go. Then I've got to take all the structure apart, and I will more than likely have to recut all these pieces because there'll be different angles then. So that is a big job, and I am going to leave that until tomorrow, when hopefully it's a little bit cooler out. But that's the plan. I'll stake them tonight, and I could probably just take all the composite wood off. Then I'll have to take all of the L trim off and then put all new L trim on. But at least that, and I'm going to keep all of this circle in place. I'm not going to change any of that, so that I can just plop it right back on and know that it's going to fit. So that is the plan. Let's get going. Yahoo! All right, I got all this rebuilt. A little janky here and there, but it'll hold up once I get it all screwed together. So I'm not going to do that today. This took me a couple hours. I was actually able to simply reuse the original L trim that was on the other one, because this is a shorter turn, so it worked out perfectly. And yep, so tomorrow I'll get the old chop saw and the protractor out and go ahead and make the new turn. And then I kept all the track together that I had that was on here. I just took the whole, crimped it and then took the whole piece off, put it in the shed, so I should be able to just drop it right in place, screw it in, and it's done. But again, never say never. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get to see this thing finally run. Well, here we are. I just finished putting this back together, and I'm not much better off than I was before. I don't understand why. It's going off of the base there. It's going off of the base there. I give up. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get some, once again, different types of track here to try to make a different type of curve to join back up, and we'll see how that goes. It works. What I did is same thing I did before. I just tried different pieces of track, and then over here I took one of the curved pieces of track, 36 radius, and I cut it to fit it, and everything now fits. So now to try out the rolling stock and see if it makes it. It's not moving. And I noticed that the short light came on the Lionel transformer. And I'm thinking to myself, why is it shorting? It didn't before. And I came over here and I took this apart. And can you see that? It's all melted. How did it melt? I have no idea. So I have to get a new one of those. I suspect that it might have something, because nothing wrong with the track. I inspected the track all the way through, and I can't find anything that would be wrong with the track. But I did notice there's a lot of water on the track from the rain that we had last night. We had a really heavy rain, and I'm wondering if the water on the track is shorting it out, or probably with the Menards track, they used these fiberboard attachments to insulate the track, the main rail. And I bet you when these things get soaking wet, they transmit electricity, and so the thing just shorts right through. So it's a nice, another brutally hot day here, but it's early in the morning. So I'm going to let the track dry out a bit, and I'm going to try it later. And if it's the case that when the track is dry, everything runs fine, that means I can't run this thing in the rain. I have to wait until it's dry so that the fiberboard dries out. I guess that's why, once again, G-gauge works so well, because you only have two rails and they're brass and they're separated by plastic or wooden ties, so you don't get this problem. So anyway, I gotta go about replacing this and wait a little while, and after lunch see if anything's different. All right, so I replaced the original connector, which was actually something I got off eBay. I got a bundle of them, and it was plastic. This is the official Lionel connector, and it's made of fiberboard, which will not melt. That's a positive, I guess. Maybe it'll blow up the track, I don't know. But let's go ahead and then go back in and see if, when I power this thing up, so the locomotive's there. Let's see if when I power the transformer up, I get the red light. If I get the red light, that means there's still a short, which means it's the fiberboard, most likely, that's on the track itself. So here we are. Let's turn it on. We got the light there. And we do not have a light there. That's a good sign. But the train is still not running, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So let me go figure this out. So I have no idea what's going on. Now I am getting no voltage from the track with my multi-tester. And even I tested right here at the source, and I'm getting absolutely no voltage coming out of there. So what that tells me is that the Lionel transformer has shut down to protect itself, because that is a feature it has. So I'm gonna go have lunch, since it's already lunchtime, and I'm gonna come back out later on this afternoon when the things have dried out a bit, and I'm gonna see if that made any difference. If not, well then, back to the old drawing board. All right, so I've done a little troubleshooting, and it's produced trouble. The transformer is working fine. I put my multi-tester on the transformer itself. I get about 20 volts, which I should. I come here and I put my multi-tester positive here, negative there, and I get 20 volts. This is what I should. I put my multi-tester here, and I get 0.002 of a volt. So either this is defective, which I don't think it is, or there's something very wrong with the track, which there probably is. It's hot out. It's 90 degrees, bright sun, nice breeze, and I've checked these, and most of them have dried out. So either several of them, or maybe just one of them, has failed somewhere along the line and is shorting out. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a little disconcerting. It's hard to troubleshoot exactly where the problem starts, because right off the bat I'm getting no voltage on the rails, even though it's directly connected to the rails. I mean, there is a chance that that Lionel connector is defective, but I don't think it is. But I have a couple more downstairs that I can try, and let me see if I can play around with that and get another one to work. Okay, so I flipped it to the other side. It actually fits much better there. It clipped right in, and that was the problem. What I found is that this clip, which holds onto the positive center rail, was not making contact with this rail here when it was over here, because there was too much pressure from the wood. It was bending it. So it fit perfectly, it clipped right on there. So now I am getting the appropriate voltage right here. Not a problem. And it comes out here, comes out there, gets around there, and stops. And what happens is the transformer kicks off. So I think there is a short somewhere in this line, and I think it has to do with, I was saying they were fiberboard. These aren't, these are actually cardboard, the insulators, which is probably how Menards makes these so inexpensively. And if that is the case with cardboard ties, cardboard insulators, that is just going to turn to mush in the rain. So, what to do? Well, I'm going to wait a little longer. I'm going to wait till later on this afternoon and see if anything dries out more. Then try it again. And if it doesn't work then, I'm in a big pickle, because that means all of this track is not going to work outdoors. There is Lionel track, there is Gargraves track, and there's Atlas track. That's 027 gauge like this, that is made for outdoors. The Menards track, I should tell you, by the way, on this entire endeavor so far, I've spent just under $1,700, which sounds like a lot, but it actually, for the amount of track and the rolling stock I have, that's not too bad. And that is with Menards track, which goes for about anywhere from $1 to $3 a foot. If I get other manufacturers' track that is made for outdoors, you're talking anywhere $5 to $10 per foot of track, and I have over 180 feet of track, so that would be a massive outlay. And of course, I'd have to get rid of all this track, and I'd have to redo it all and just hope that the new track would actually conform with the right number of pieces that I've had to put in here. Another option would be, could I go through and take each piece of track and replace these insulators with something a little more sturdy? I don't know. I don't think so. I might be able to, then again I might not. It could be as simple as prying up these clips and then lifting it and then sliding in a piece of something else. I don't know, fiberboard or something. But I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do if that is indeed the case. If the cardboard is just simply rotting away in the rain and is shorting out, then I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with it. So we'll have to wait till this afternoon to find out for sure. And we'll take it from there. Well, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm still getting a short. It'll power up very briefly, then the transformer will simply kick off. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Tomorrow is supposed to be another 90-degree day, no rain in the forecast. So I guess I just let this dry out overnight, hopefully. And perhaps at that point, things will work again. I tend to doubt it though, because I think what's happening is the cardboard insulators are simply deteriorating. And with the number of them in there, I mean, one 3-foot stretch has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insulators. And That's 3 cases worth of track, of straight track like that. I suspect it would take me forever to track down what's going on. So I'll try tomorrow. If things work tomorrow, then I know, well, I just don't run it for a few days after it rains, and then I should be okay. If it doesn't work tomorrow, if it's still shorting out, then I'm in deep doo-doo, and I have to figure out how I'm going to proceed from there. Well, looky here. I took a scrap piece of track that I had. Here is the original insulator. It's just, really is just cardboard, just actually layers of paper crushed together. So what I did is I went to the good old 3D printer and I made a replica in plastic. And it fits perfectly into here. And the track fits perfectly into that. So, trying to do things with my hands here. All I gotta do then is just crimp the darn thing. And voila. Well, when I do it properly. When I crimp it, it will hold and it will be completely insulated, and plastic doesn't care if it gets wet. So, I may have found my solution. It is labor intensive, and it's gonna take me probably a month at the earliest to get it done, because I have to replace all of the middle insulators all the way across the entire length of the track. But the nice thing is, because of the size of these, I can put like 50 of them on a plate, my print bed, and crank them out. And it really was easy to take this off. You just take a little screwdriver and bend, pops right out, slide the other one in. I don't even have to take the track off really, because this will just slide right into the track, and then crimp it and done. So in theory, I could do this pretty quickly. It's just a matter of seeing if it's worth it. So tomorrow, this is still the evening, tomorrow morning I will find out if indeed the track is dried out enough to prevent the short. And if not, then I think I'm going to go to this. I may go to this anyway, because this will be a long-term solution. I won't have to worry about this ever deteriorating. So, good old 3D printing. Well, the track has had 2 days to dry out, and it's still shorting out. And the insulators seem to be dry. So I guess it's off to the 3D printer. That's a lot of insulators. Well, another heavy rain last night. And yes, these have just turned to mush, the insulators. So that's the problem. So I have my new insulators. I'm cranking them out. And what I'm finding is I thought it would be a simple matter of just simply bending the clips back, taking out the old insulator, sliding in the new, but there's not enough room to get in there at the edges because it's too tightly held by the pins. So looks like what I'm gonna have to do is unscrew every single piece, pull it out, do it while it's out. So I probably want to bring another table up here and then put it back in, do the next one, put it back in, do the next one. So I'm gonna have to unscrew every single piece of track along the entire way in order to do this. Not ideal, but that should make it work. Here we are on the workbench. I got a whole bag of the new insulators that I made. They don't work. I don't know why. They don't fit. They fit on my original test piece of track, but for some reason on this, they will not fit into these slots, no matter how much I bend them. They just don't fit. They fit perfectly on the other one, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm not going to print anymore if they don't fit. But what I did is I had another idea, and it'll take a little while to find out if this is going to work because it has to be shipped from China. But I found strips of silicone. They're 10 millimeters wide, so I need 5 millimeters wide. So all I got to do is just cut the strips down the middle and then cut them into a square, basically a 5 millimeter by 5 millimeter square, and then just press them in place and then set the track on top of it. And that will conform without a problem. And silicone is incredibly durable, just like the plastic would be incredibly durable. So I should be in good shape with that, and it should be easier to insert because I won't have to take the track out as far when I remove it. It should be able to just push it right in there. So it'll be a little while. I mean, not for you because you're just going to see it dissolve into when I do it, but for me, it'll be a few weeks before I can test out my theory. Well, I figured since it'll be a while before I can fix this track, I might as well not let that stop me. So this is another one of the Menards things I got. It's a little M&M truck, and it has a remote control, so I can make it go forward or I can make it go backward. So I'm just going to run this around the track just to make myself happy. Hey, that worked out really well, didn't it? All right, well, what's the problem here? Ugh. That's really interesting. It's not, wait a minute. Oh, I see what I did. This is where I put those, I tried putting the new clips into the track and they popped out. So if I just remove these, the track will settle back down. There we go. Because these are not going to work. There we go. Let's get that back in there. There we go. Of course, it's going to massively short out now since it's metal on metal. But I don't care because I'm not going to do anything until I get the silicone strip. So there we go. That explains that. Let's try this again, shall we? There we go. There we go, a complete circuit. Makes me feel good. Eureka, I've done it. And I didn't have to wait 2 weeks for the silicone to come in. What I did is I went back to the local hardware store and I found this stuff. This is a very thin strip. I've got an entire roll over here, which would be able to do the layout about 10 times over. It's vinyl sheeting that's normally used to cover windows in the winter. It's UV resistant. It's very strong, very durable, and all I did was I just took a 2-inch piece, basically, cut it, and then stuck it in here, pushed the track down on it, crimped it, all 5 of them, and then I put my multi-tester to it, and no short. It is really well insulated. I wiggled it around, moved it. It looks like that will do it. So I can start my process. The only thing with this, as you can see, it's really flimsy and it's hard to keep in place. So I'm gonna think about that. The best way to, when I maybe put a little dab of glue on it or something, when I stick it in there so it holds it in place. So when I put the track back in place, it'll just sit right down, crimp it, done. So a little bit of progress. Let's see how much I can get done using that and see if it drives me up a wall trying to cut it straight. I had another idea. I just 3D printed an entire tie, and what I did is I made these little spikes in the middle, and that theoretically will fit into the crimps at the end of these. So all I'd have to do is line this up so that they're all in the right position. That's the key here. Of course, I'm trying to do this with one hand, and then just give it a little tap. And notice how well it works. I did get it to go down a little bit before. My concern though is that these, because it's just PLA and they're so thin, that these will just snap right off. But I did get it in there, and then I was able to pop it out. So in theory that could work. What I could do is have them printed, because I'd need obviously nearly 600 of them. I could have them printed by a professional 3D printing company in bulk. So I could get 600 of them, and I'd probably do it in vinyl, because vinyl is extremely durable, and see if that would work. But I'm still thinking, I mean, I've got all this material here, which is vinyl, and I don't know. I'll have to just sit on it for a while and think about how I want to go ahead. That wasn't too bad. It took me about an hour to do the entire turn by the station. So that's done. And there are no shorts anywhere in any piece of track, because I would check each piece of track when I did it. And the vinyl turned out to work really well. It's a little finicky because it tends to want to spring back, but I was able to get it in without much problem. And it all may be a red herring though, because I tested the track before I put the vinyl on, and there was no short anywhere in this track. So it might be that the only short is in one piece of track somewhere down the line that I haven't found yet, and everything else is fine. So it turned out the cardboard wasn't shorting out at all. So before I continue with this process, I mean, this is fine now. This will never short out with the vinyl in it. I'm going to wait because it's supposed to be heavy rain for the next several days. But once the rain stops, I'm going to put this back on. But then I'm going to go and I'm going to selectively disconnect track and then check for continuity all the way along the entire circuit and see if I can find a short in one section that's not in another, and that will help me narrow it down. And maybe it's just one section of track that's having a problem, and if I replace that section of track, I'll be fine. So maybe the cardboard is fine after all. I don't know. So let me wait for the rain to stop and then go out there and see if I can track anything down. All right, I've come out after a break in the rain. And let's see if you can see this. If I can get in close enough here. Look at that tie. It's almost entirely off of the clips. So the clips are clipped onto the rail, not onto the insulator. And I may have spotted a problem. Maybe I haven't. Maybe it's just an anomaly, because remember, I did run this. I didn't get it on video entirely, but I did run the train through the whole circuit one time and it worked. But maybe it was just dry enough to work then. So I'm going to try to fix this. I'm going to pry this up and push that insulator over and recrimp it. And then I'm going to test for continuity, because I am getting a short across the entire line. So let me try fixing this and see what happens. Wishful thinking. I fixed it, so the insulator is fine now, but it is still shorting. So, nope, that wasn't it. All right, well, this is progress. OL, open lead, means no short. And neither on this stretch nor on this stretch. So I disconnected it over here. And I put it on here, so nothing on this one, nothing on that one, still open lead. And if I go over here and I attach this over here, nothing, nothing. And if I go here, that's where I get the connection. So these two stretches of track in the station are fine. There is no problem there. So the next thing to check is further down the line. So this is what I'm going to do, is just take all this section off around the curve, pull that apart, and then check for that. And if there's no short there, then I move on to the next stretch, and then I move on to the next stretch, and I just keep going down the line. So see how that goes. All right, phase 2. From there to there. No shorts anywhere along the line. Interesting. Oh, and by the way, I did check the Lionel connector as well, and that was fine. No shorts there. So we just keep continuing. This is going to be an easier stretch because I just got to go down, I don't know, I'll go to the end and then pull that and then check the whole line since it's all straight, and see if I can track anything there. Right, so I'm already down to here and there's no short. That was quick. I just took apart that, checked the continuity, fine. So now on to the second half of the run. Eureka, I have found the short. Well, I haven't really found it per se, but it's in this stretch of track right here on the corner. So it's somewhere between these two sections of track. Now I'm going to check from there on. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think this is where it is. Now I have to find the defective piece of track. All right, I'm horribly confused. I thought I had it. The last section of track I tried, these two are really tight. The curve and the straight piece are tied together, so I didn't take them apart, but they're separated at both ends. This was the only stretch of track that beeped, and now it's not beeping. So if I put that here, we got a short, no short, no short, but it just gave me a short. I don't know. Right now, there doesn't appear to be a short anywhere in the track, even though we had a heavy day of rain yesterday. I really don't know. So I'm just going to put everything back together and take another reading and see what happens. Because I know I read all that section out there. There was no short there. This was the only stretch that had a short. I narrowed it down to here, I thought, and now it's not showing a short. It could be those pieces of cardboard are just really flaky. It could be they're working. I don't know. So put it back together and see what happens. I give up. I got the track back together and now it's shorting out again. I have no idea why. And of course it's on both sides. If I check this one, it'll be on both sides. Oh, I'm wrong. There is nothing wrong with this side of the track. It's only on that side. But where is the problem on this side of the track? I don't know. And the reason it's only on that side of the track is because over here I haven't put the station circle back in, so the track dead ends there. So there's no contact in a complete circuit. If I completed the circuit, then it would show both sides of the track shorting out. So I don't know what caused that. Everything was fine up until I connected it. Well, let's explore a little more. All right, so I've disconnected the track over there, and over here, no short. So it has to be somewhere in here. Danged if I know, so let me poke around in here and see if I can figure it out. All right, here we go. I now have it, so that's severed right there. And there is no short going down the line. There's no short going down that line. And I can actually connect these two, and there's no short. It's still fine. So what's going on? The only other thing I can think of is that when I screw the track down, the screws are somehow shorting the track. How? No clue, because they work fine everywhere else. But that's the only suspicion I have, is that the screws are shorting the track, because that was the only thing different. The only thing I did differently is I screwed it down. So let me try putting this back together with no screws in it and see if I still have continuity. Okay, track is back together. No continuity signal, but I don't know if you can hear this. It's like a Geiger counter sound, very, very faint. It says open lead, but there's a little bit of crackling. So I don't know what that means. But I'm going to try to screw this back down and then see if it changes the continuity. It's got to be it. I put this last screw in over there and then it started up. And you can see on the display, all right, be that way. But the display is showing short. What to do? Let me keep playing. I mean, right now it's fine, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen when I put more screws in. So we'll see. I had a thought. Dangerous, I know. I think what might be happening is when I screw with the drill, it sometimes goes a little too far and it squishes the ties. And I'm wondering if that is crushing the insulator and forcing it to make contact. I'm wondering if that's really what's happening, because it only happens when I'm screwing them down. When I don't screw them down, they're fine. So right now it's fine, because what I'm doing is I'm being very careful to not squish them very hard. Excuse me, that was a bee on my shoulder. So let me try that. Let me try putting them in very gently, just enough to hold the track, and see if that helps. So far, so good. All of that is screwed down. No continuity errors. All I got to do is finish up the turn here and then put that back on. And hopefully we'll have a finished track. Sometimes you just can't win. So everything was fine. I connected the last stretch here back up, and this is the one, remember, where I put all the vinyl insulators in, and I checked it and there were no shorts. I connect it and now it's screaming. So am I. I don't know. Well, lunchtime. I'll figure this out later. All is quiet. It's still got that Geiger counter sound. I don't know what that means, but all I did is I went in and I simply backed off all of the screws a couple turns all the way around here. And now I'm not getting a short. So now let me get my EMDF locomotive and see if I can fire it up. All right, we got power. There's a little EMDF locomotive. Let's fire it up. Woohoo! Let's go see if it makes it through the tunnel. Ha ha ha! And it got hung up. Let's see how it got hung up, because it didn't hit anything. It came off the track. Interesting. Wonder why it came off the track. Well, let's find out. Okay, well, I'm not sure why it came off the track, because it's going through here just fine. But when it gets to here, it's hitting the little bolt that's in there. So what I need to do is I need to pull all this track this way a little bit more. So let me work on that. Well, bittersweet. Figured out what it was, fixed the problem, and it's starting to rain. We were supposed to get a couple of days of torrential rain left over from Tropical Storm Debbie. So I won't be able to get back to this for a few days to actually test out my theory of whether it's going to work now. But I moved all the track here, and I know now, pretty sure that's what it is. So what I'm going to do is when the weather clears, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to just back off all of these screws a couple turns throughout the entire line. And hopefully that will prevent any other shorts from popping up, because it seems like, I guess, those little cardboard insulators are holding up. I don't know for how long, but what the heck. So that's it for now until the weather clears, but the short problem has been solved, and hopefully the next time you see this, you're going to be seeing trains running on the track.